Ready?
Hello and welcome to Rhythm and Pixels, a video game music podcast. This is episode 33-6, and we're your hosts. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
And every week we listen to great video game music from all consoles, all generations. We pick a topic, we pick some music, we listen to the music, we discuss the music, we discuss the games, we discuss everything about it. And we're talking to Pernell today. Pernell, how are things where you are in your neck of the woods?
Well, I'm COVID-free since 93, and by that I mean I don't know what the heck I am, because I'm perfectly healthy in my sense, but I tested yesterday, it said, yeah, you still got it. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? But I was like, let me refer back to the quote-unquote, the special text of the governments, and the claim is that after 10 days, you should be good to flow again, and that will be tomorrow. So I'm like, okay,
all right.
I want to freaking live again, so that's good. I want to get out and go back to the gym. I'm 2 weeks out working out. I'm freaking weak as balls now, and I hate it.
But while that second line is still red, Pernell can keep that crap over where he's living right now. So that's why we're doing it this way tonight. And if what we didn't realize was that this week's topic is a revisit. Revisiting.
No, we realized nothing's wrong.
Oh, nothing's wrong. Absolutely nothing's wrong. We can do whatever we want. This is our show, and you're listening. We don't care. So every year we have a Summer Games Challenge where we try to play as many games as we can, or as we want to, over the course of the summer. And this summer, I'm playing through Super Metroid for the Super Nintendo, and I have...
That'll be interesting. For many, that's the best Metroid ever made.
I have never played this game. I got stuck in a couple parts just because I'm learning kind of the language of the game of like it wants you to explore and like shoot all the walls to figure out where to go. And so I've been online and been like, hey, where do I go from here in Brinstar?
No online, get the map.
Anyway, so I went online and I was like, where do I go next? And I literally, don't worry about it, because the only comments to a lot of this stuff was, oh my God, this is your first playthrough? I wish I could play through this game for the first time again. And I'm like,
yes!
I'm like, wow.
It's one of those
it's fun.
things.
It's a really good game. It's very cinematic.
And I want our guest to chime in on this statement, but I think...
I've been holding back.
Okay, so
I heard him say Super Metroid. The reason why
I say that is because a large part of what makes Metroid what it actually is,
surprises,
not
right?
challenge, it's the actual exploration. You're like, oh, I just found this cool path that leads to an energy tank. It's not quite the same oomph if you just Google it and it's like, shoot that block and there's an energy
trust
tank
me,
there.
I haven't been doing that. I've been concerned that I've soft locked the game twice because I'm like, am I like in a place where I shouldn't be because I don't have the right items yet? And then I'm like, I better look this up. One time it was because I have my control. I'm playing on an emulator, so I thought my controller settings were actually incorrect, and I couldn't do some of the weapon changes. Anyway, on today's show, not just Pernell is here, not just your host Rob Nichols is here. We have a third guest. This is a trifecta. This is the Triforce of podcasters. We have returning with us the Kung Fu Carlito from the Heroes 3 podcast, Mr. Carlos.
Hello, what's up, guys?
What's going on?
I was like stifling my laughter when you guys are having your preamble, but once you said Super Metroid, I'm like, I have to say something.
Yeah,
I can't stop.
I'm really excited. I've always wanted to play through. I've only ever seen screenshots of the game, and I was like, this looks too good to be like a game from the 90s, and it's so
What is your take on this? Give him the 411, Carlito.
Well, I mean,
what is your take on this whole the exploration discovery element of a Metroid game?
Well, I apologize for going online. I won't do it again. Okay, I will go again if I need to look up controls. Like, I didn't know I could wall jump. I didn't know there was a run button. I mean, come on.
That's the funny thing.
I don't have
check this out.
I don't have a manual.
Check this. No, but check this out. So here's the rub. And again, I think this is something that Carlos will remember too.
Yeah, because he was talking and then we cut him off.
Well, he come back. I want to hear his take.
I'm ready.
But as far as like what you're saying, I didn't know you could wall jump. I know you could do this. No one did. That's how the game was designed to be played. Like, there's a thing that I'm not even making it up. I think he'll remember this.
There was a manual that said that you press left to go.
No,
you hold
the way they taught you in the game. The way they taught you those things in the game is there were animals that were actually in the planet that did the thing that you needed to learn how to do. You watch an
yeah.
animal jump off the walls, you go, wait, I can do that too. And then you do it.
Yeah, that'll come. But yeah, I think what Purnell is saying is that this game is a prime example of showing you how to play a game without telling you how to play a game. And the exploration is like, yeah, I mean, I feel like it's an all-timer. Like, Super Metroid's like, I mean, it's not even a hot take, right? It's one of the best games ever. So my take is that I'm really excited to know that you're playing this for the first time. That's amazing. That's so cool. And it's kind of, I mean, okay, well, have you ever played Symphony of the Night?
Yes, but I've never finished it.
Okay,
so I'm already seeing the parallels to it. Like, really,
yeah.
I'm like,
but
because my wife has seen me play through Symphony of the Night 3 times without finishing it, and she's like,
yeah.
She's like, this looks familiar, and I'm like, yeah, this is what everything is based on. Like, this is like the game people love.
Right, and well, what I was gonna say is that Super Metroid, and we'll keep this short, but Super Metroid is like the foundation of that, and but in a similar way, I feel like as those games progress, like the different Metroid sequels, the 2D sequels, and then also with Symphony of the Night, it's still kind of rough around the edges. I mean, I'm not talking bad about these games. They're amazing, and they're like 2 of my favorite games of all time. But they still have like their own little character. Like, this is before they smoothed out all the edges with sequels and sequels and sequels, and kind of iron that formula out. So I think the things that I really like about Super Metroid and Symphony of the Night are the kind of like weird quirky things that make them like stand out. So like I wouldn't fault you for looking up stuff, but I do feel like a big part of the enjoyment for me from Super Metroid was like learning that emergent gameplay, right? Like, that's the hot term.
What I call like the language of the game. Like, when I talk to people about like how, like, oh, I've learned kind of how the game wants you to play, like how they want you to talk, you know. And I can kind of understand that. Like Gungeon, it teaches you as you play and like what to do, and like there's a game loop and how it wants you to, like how it's talking to you and how it wants you to do it.
Yeah. And once you get used to Super Metroid, there's like actually kind of an execution like ceiling that you can like aspire to. And I mean, I know you like fighting games, so like sometimes there's like some stuff in Super Metroid where you're like, oh man, if I'm good enough, if I got timing skills and input skills, I might be able to get to this spot even though I'm not supposed to get to it. And that's like one of the fun things at a higher level.
I can kind of see that happening, especially with the wall jump, which is like almost right now, it's almost impossible to
it was hard to me too.
But
morph ball bombs.
But I will say that the boss to Brinstar or whatever, it was like, I had to look it up because I had to like bomb an area where the elevator was. There was nothing telling me to do that. There was like I don't even know how I would have realized to do this one thing to get to the Varia suit. So,
and that's why I think it's pretty interesting too.
I'm really surprised that kids were able to figure that out without any help.
But that's just the thing. I think that's where kids learned it. Like that, and that's a large again a part of like why I was like, just no, it wasn't. People like to think that I'm like, you're a loser if you look for help, which has never been true.
I don't want anyone to get the wrong impression here. I'm not playing through the game with like a guide next to me while I'm playing.
Oh yeah,
this was just like me being like, I'm playing on an emulator, I'm playing on an Xbox controller. Am I doing something wrong?
Right. And I mean, and I get that, and I do get that too. Yeah. It's just I hold Super Metroid on a very high pedestal.
Yes.
For a lot of reasons, and one of those reasons is because I learned a lot of what I do now from what I did in that game back in 1994. Like it's a very special game, which is why like you're saying like I had no idea that you bombed this spot to go to this soup. Like, no one did.
Yeah,
no one did.
Because, like, in other places, I'm like, it shows you where it's like, oh, like, you can see an enemy go down this corridor, and you're like, oh, it goes through a wall. There must be, like, a place I can shoot through the wall there. Or it shows you, like, a crack in the wall that doesn't look like any other cracks. I'm like, I understand that. I can figure that out. Like, it's a little esoteric, but, like, it's Super Nintendo. You're meant to, like, look for these little differences. But this one spot made no sense.
You're actually keeping things relevant because you're fighting space pirates in Super Metroid.
I know. I almost picked the Metroid track today because today, thank you.
I got
Gosh, I love you, Carlos. Thank you so much. Today we are doing pirates and ninjas, and we are doing the battle for all time, for all space and time, Pernell.
Which means I better bring the heat because my space has to be the best space because that's where I keep all my hot sauces.
All right, so now we can't do because we're doing this over Discord. We can't exactly do a rock paper scissors.
Oh, sure we can.
Oh, we can.
The timing is there.
Okay, we can do it off camera and then show it, right?
You can see it right now. I can see you just put your hands up. So you like 1, 2, 3, yeah, and you can see that.
There's a delay. There's a delay. We do 1, 2, 3 off camera, which I realize me shaking my fist off camera looks really strange. But we'll do it off camera and then we'll show it. Okay.
Okay.
And that's going to decide who goes first.
This
All
is
right.
amazing.
Here we go.
Carlos, I'm so sorry. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
1,
2, 3.
Shoot.
I'm on it, man.
Okay, are you
What
I'm
ready?
is
here.
this?
Reveal.
We both want scissors.
We have a tie. Listeners, double scissors we got going on right now.
All right, here we go. Let's do it again. Here.
All right, 1, 2.
1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Show. Now you saw that. You cheated.
See, this is where things get weird. I think what Rob was saying is coming to effect because we had a delay here, listeners, and I see Rob raise his hand with paper and Pernell hesitated. So I don't know who whole shot it or who's at fault.
We could default to the episode number, which is even, which would be me.
There you go. Yeah, that works.
Is that okay? Is that all right? All right.
One more try.
Amazing.
Just for the end of it.
All right, ready? Go.
1, 2, 3. Reveal.
Double rock.
Double rock.
This is the longest
number. Let's
podcast
go
in
for it.
history.
So I've known Pernell a little bit longer than I've known my wife, and me and my wife we do rock paper scissors to decide a lot of stuff, and we do it super fast, and we actually go round over round of like just getting the same symbol, as they call it. I don't know.
I am a huge rock paper scissors fan. Yeah. And I had a coworker that I do rock paper scissors with to decide if we want to avoid having to go to a meeting because only one of us would have to go. And once we landed the same choice, we landed it like 7 times in a row. And I was like, there's some weird voodoo going on. We just got to stop.
That's how you get that synergy.
All right. So my first track, we've only played this game once on the show before. It's a Genesis platformer that I've never heard of, and I watched through the entire gameplay today. It's incredible. It's called the High Seas Havoc. With the main character is a seal. He's a little pirate, and he's a seal, and he's adorable. And his name is Havoc.
Just from a rose.
And actually, in Japan, his name is Land, and he has a little sidekick, a little baby seal. That's name is Lang. And it's so cute, but this game looks amazing, and the soundtrack is really, really good. So this is for the Sega Genesis, High Seas Havoc. We're going to listen to the track Like a Gale, and the music is composed by Emi Shimizu and Masaaki Iwasaki. We're back. You're listening to music from High Seas Havoc. This track is called Like a Gale, and it is composed by Emi Shimizu and Masaaki Iwasaki. And yeah, you know that they use some of that Genesis RAM just for a little orchestra hits at the end there.
I like those lower bitrate orchestra hits.
I know, they're so crunchy. They're so crunchy. But they work
really
well.
good.
Yeah, the whole soundtrack is amazing. So yeah, Carlos is right when we started the track. This is a Data East game. So what it is like there's like this little pirate seal named Havoc, and he has a sidekick that's like looks like a little baby seal. I think he even has like a diaper on. And there's an emerald that's out there in the world, and it's supposedly gives you like unlimited power or something like that. And this evil pirate steals it, and who wants to steal it and wants to steal it and get all of its power. And you find another, like, I'm assuming it's a seal, like an anthropomorphic female character, on a beach or on an island somewhere, and she has the map to the emerald, and the evil pirate comes and kidnaps the girl and kidnaps your little baby sidekick, and the whole game is you kind of traveling over ships and over the world, fighting the bosses of him and his henchmen, to save the girl and the baby. And it's really cute. The characters have like those the eyes, the kind of the Sonic eyeball that's like actually one eyeball that's kind of like two half semicircles, I guess.
Yeah, I think Purnell was talking about that a bit too. It looks like Sonic to me. Actually, kind of get like a Rocket Knight vibes from it too. But this is all living in that same space.
Yeah, it's that Konami platformer style. Like, yeah, I can see Rocket Knight, Buster's Hidden Treasure. In fact, the hop and bop is totally Buster's Hidden Treasure.
So the character does have a sword, but like for the most part, it is a hop and bop. So you're landing on enemies to defeat them, and the first stage, it's like out in like this island, and it's blue sky, very classic Sega, and it's all like green hills, and it's very like slopey. It looks like Sonic the Hedgehog, but then later on in the game, the levels get very vertical. And very like inside caverns and inside castles and looking type stuff, and it feels more like a Western platformer game, like a European platforming style game, in that it's like really vertical. But yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. It looks really, really cool. This is probably gonna be next on my list. I was gonna finish Sonic 3, based on our last podcast, but now that I'm playing Super Metroid, I might throw this game in just to see, because I never played that. I never even seen this one when I was a kid.
I've never heard. I'm actually wondering if it ever got localized or not.
Well, this is
It looks like it was released here.
Yeah, this is the North American version, because it has a different name in Japan and I think in Europe, and also in Europe too.
I'm in the same boat though. In the
boat.
It looks it looks remotely familiar, but I've never played it, and I mean, I do love me some Data East, like Gamadelic stuff. So yeah, I'll check it out.
Yeah, it looks really, really cool. So I mean, as far as like badassery of a character, like he's a pirate, but he's like an adorable seal. But if you imagine, like, he can just jump on someone's head and like make them explode, that's pretty powerful, right?
That is a trait of pirates, though. That's one of the pirate legends.
It's the peg leg in them.
Blackbeard used to the legend of Blackbeard, that he would like jump on his enemies and then they would explode and just disappear.
Blackbeard, no, matey, no! Shiver me timbers! Oh, mercy! I would pay money to see some random lore like that. Don't let Blackbeard get the 7 Chaos Emeralds. Yarr.
Actually, we were just talking about Taika Waititi before the show, and he's got another show on there called Our Flag Means Death, which I think you would also appreciate, Purnell. It's kind of like it's a comedy send up of like this pirate like adventure type thing. The captain has no reason. No.
Yeah, he kind of gets sucked into being a pirate captain, even though, I mean, he really wants to be it, but he is not like suited for it at all.
Yeah, he's like an upper class like Englishman who's like wants to be a pirate. It's really silly, and he gets into, and like people are like getting killed and murdered around him. And he's like, oh my god, weird. But no, this game to me is like represents all things I love about Sega Genesis. Like super cute characters, like really tight platforming, and like really, really kick butt music. Like this soundtrack, it's a mix of
bright
that
palette. I like the bright graphics.
Yeah, really good palette. Which people always compare that to the Nintendo, like how like the Genesis would have like a kind of a more muted color palette, but I feel like it was just in the right hands. It was more. It can add more contrast to it. But yeah, I love the soundtrack. It's got that kind of crunchy guitar sound too that you get from the Sega Genesis, like from like Skitchin or from those Rob Hubbard tracks, but like done in a more melodic way.
Yeah.
Rather than just like the really waily guitar sound. Okay, well that's my pirate track. Pernell, you going ninja style?
Yeah, I'm a little sweating over here though, because that was a good one.
Thanks.
Now, don't thank me. I'm sweating. I'm not complimenting. I'm anxious. I'm really anxious.
You're welcome.
There's the versus style.
All right.
So the track I'm going to go with to start this off. Funny enough, I believe you actually picked a track from the original game when you represented ninjas before. But this is based off of the remake they did in like late 2019 or so.
Oh,
and
snap.
I'm still looking to grab it for sure. Because the physical's coming out soon. I'm like, should I wait? I don't know. Anyway, this comes from the game The Ninja Saviors Return of the Ninja Warriors.
Hey.
This is the Stage 6 theme, and it's composed by Hiroyuki Iwatsuki. Welcome back. You're listening to Stage 6 theme from the game The Ninja Saviors Return of the Warriors, composed by Hiroyuki Iwatsuki on the Nintendo Switch and probably released on the Xbox and PlayStation, but I'm not sure. I only just bought the game while that track was playing. So, because I made my decision.
I've got it on PS4.
So, but I had to come at this from the hard-hitting track because that last track that Rob selected was really good.
Yeah, this is a banger of a track, man. This is hitting it.
I was extremely fond of the entirety of this OST. It's really good. It gets better the further in the game you get to, which I feel like a lot of OSTs almost should do that. Not to say that they should have like bad tracks or something, but just like there's something to be said about working to get to the better music. It's like, I earned this.
Well, I feel like with arcade games, especially with arcade games, and classic arcade games, that first track is almost always like the best, or like one of the most memorable tracks. The first one always is, and then like the second track gets a little interesting. Then it's the third or fourth track that are like incredible, because then it's like, you've made it this far. You've given us like $20 in quarters. Now it's time to like really hammer home like this is the good music. But yeah, that first track is always like the earworm. You know, it's the Ninja Turtles, it's the final fight music, it's the all that stuff. And then like second, third stage, fourth stage, it's like, whoa, now we're getting somewhere. So this is a remake, right? This is not just
Yeah, it's a little complicated, but the end result is an amazing experience. The original Ninja Warriors was an arcade game developed by Taito. So Zuntata handled the music for that version. And it was actually really one of these cool like 3-monitor big arcade cabinet situations.
Right?
Yeah. And so then some years later on the Super Nintendo, Natsume actually handled like a reworking of the game. it was less like walk left and right beat 'em up, and more along the lines of like a Final Fight Streets of Rage situation. And the controls became a little more involved. They redid all the graphics, and Hiroyuki Iwatsuki did the music for that version. So this version that we're listening to right now is a remake of that version, and they basically like HDified it, but in the most beautiful way. Like they adjusted the graphics to fit a HD screen, and some characters they like redid them completely so they fill like the whole screen. And the characters look way nicer. It's
they
really
even
good.
added 2 more apparently.
Yeah, there are 2 extra characters you can play as, and one of them is like you're literally playing as like a boss-sized character. So if you imagine like a gigantic ninja robot that's like the size of half the screen,
Yeah. Now
that's what you're playing
the
as.
characters in the Ninja Warriors, they were all robots, right?
Yeah, so it was actually a situation where when you put your quarter in the arcade game, you figure you're either playing as a guy ninja or a girl ninja. But what happened is if you took damage, you'd start to kind of fall apart like the Terminator. So you'd start to realize that you were like a robot underneath the human skin.
Yeah, and it was also a pretty violent game too, if I remember. Like I think like the last
got
boss,
dirty.
like you murder somebody or there's like an assassination, and you're like, oh, I'm not the good guy, right? Is it something like that?
Well,
It's something crazy like that.
the way they describe it in this game, they make it sound like you're the good guy, quote unquote. But maybe either the original, they didn't do it that way, or maybe they subvert your expectations.
Yeah.
But the whole idea, they're claiming, like, you're in the future. This ruler is a complete jerkbag. Ninjas show up. Let's rock shop.
Yeah. And of course, like, you know, maybe like as a kid, I wasn't reading the story, so I'm like, oh my god, I just killed somebody at the end of this game. But as an adult, you're like, you read the story and you're like, oh, okay, maybe there's more to it. But still, it seems it's a very violent game for its time.
I just realized something. I totally just conflated the story of Ninja Warriors with Shadow of the Ninja, which I played last night.
Oh yeah.
For nostalgia's sake. That game's, the plot is literally, not even making this up, they go, the year's like 2035 or something. Emperor Galbon or something is the ruler of the free world. Ninjas show up to take him down. Like, it's like 4 sentences of a plot.
I like the idea that in the 90s, I felt like in the 90s, maybe because we were younger, but I felt like just ninjas were everywhere. You could have a ninja just show up. You know, like they're just out there. You don't know if they're out there. But
In
they're
the
out
bushes,
there.
and in your grocer's freezer, anywhere.
Yeah, and their body is a weapon. You know, they didn't need to have like a sword. They could like pick up a pineapple and throw it at you and murder you. I don't know.
It's great how they romanticize this thing, like you're saying, like, actually, this is pretty a violent situation. Yeah, ninjas were just straight up, like, spy assassins.
Yeah.
But in the, like, 80s and 90s, they, like, totally romanticized all of that. They had magic, and they flew on kites, and they could turn into, like, a shadow, and they could walk through walls, and that's stuff that, like, because people... Well, I guess in history, like, ninjas were so... They're basically like spies. So the government or a lord would use them to basically either get information or kill someone. But these dudes were so skilled that it kind of became this mythology. It's like, oh, he can like stick to the ceiling or something. Or he can just, you know, disappear and nobody will know. And
how
He
could
summons
they?
a dragon and he'll burn you alive. No, he
Yeah.
lights a match.
Yeah, and then there was also like I think this Western or American fascination with this Eastern mysticism, right? You know, where we kind of romanticized and maybe even fetishized like this Asian idea of you know the powerful warrior and like the magic use and all this stuff. Which you know,
and actually,
is not the nicest thing. Maybe a little gross in some ways, but looking back on it, it's like, oh, the Ninja Warriors, that was fun. You know?
When you're a kid, you're like, man, I want to throw a ninja star.
Yeah, of
you
course.
know, and you're mixing all of this stuff together. You know, like, I mean, on my podcast, we talk about Asian cinema and all this stuff, and we have covered a couple of films that cover like ninja stuff. There's this one movie called Duel to the Death that is insane. And it's all like the things you imagine ninjas doing. They do it in this live action movie. It's awesome. But I was going to say this kind of segues into my track, which I'm having to make my decision now, correct?
Yes.
Between Rob and Purnell, I mean, I'm in ninja mode, so I am gonna go with ninjas right now.
Yes.
And that will segue into my pick. So, my pick for this first round is a track called High Tension, and this is Galford's theme from Samurai Spirit 64. So Samurai Showdown is a series that, was alongside Street Fighter. In the 90s, we're talking about fighting games, and I always love to talk about fighting games, but just like in Street Fighter 2, where there's Ryu and Ken, they had a situation in the Samurai Showdown games where they had Hanzo, Hattori Hanzo is also based on a legendary ninja, but his Ken counterpart in Samurai Showdown games is an American ninja, like in the American Ninja in the 80s and 90s movies. His name is Galford, and that's the track that I'm choosing for today.
Galford, man, what a name.
Yeah.
You think it'd be like Dave. Dave the Ninja.
No, he's a noble warrior. He's Galford.
Galford.
His parents knew going in he was going to be a ninja. He raised him to be a ninja. He's Galford.
His parents sent him to school. It's a ninja school.
Ninja school.
They take attendance. To get in. He had to study
they take
really
attendance
hard.
in ninja school, and nobody says anything.
Yeah. Galford? Galford? Where's Galford? Straight A's. Never saw him. That is something else. We're listening to High Tension, the theme of Galford from Samurai Spirits 64 for the Hyper Neo Geo 64, composed by the SNK Sound Team, or Shinsekai Gakkyoku Zatsugidan.
You got it.
Those were words.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, there's so many people involved with the SNK Sound Team, and for every soundtrack, there's probably so many contributing artists that they never actually credit specific artists for specific songs, and for the official soundtracks, oftentimes they'll list the sound team, and then for each track they'll have like which artists contributed to the music. But for a lot of these SNK soundtracks, even till recent years, like, they don't credit specific artists in it. I find it frustrating because I would like to, like, for this track, find what other specific tracks this artist worked on, because this is, well, at least the composition it's really, really, really impressive.
And just like a ninja, I am breaking the rules a little bit because this is like the arranged version of that track. And But the ninjas, they don't follow the Bushido like the samurai do. They do whatever they want.
That's right. They'll drop a smoke bomb and stab you right in the back.
So does that mean but they had a master, right? They weren't like Ronin. The ninjas had a master.
I mean, and I don't know a ton about ninjas. I just kind of am pulling from like the stuff that I knew. But I am really excited. Like on Heroes 3, I know we're probably gonna do an arc on like ninja movies because that's gotta be fun, right? And I have some ideas of already movies that I want to talk about. And one of the things that I really love to do is just do all this homework and learn stuff, you know, basically learn about ninjas. But what I do know, and it's kind of in line with what I was saying before, was that ninjas basically became like spies, and actually like a lot of like the mythological things like ninja stars and like smoke bombs and these things, they're kind of built up over time, and it's not really true to what they really did, but they basically snuck around either to get information or to kill people. And eventually when like this is like during like the feuding eras, like the Sengoku era of Japanese history before everything was unified. And like, I mean, if you play video games, you probably heard the name Nobunaga, right? And like basically he was trying
ambitious.
Yeah, right. He's trying to pull everybody together to unify Japan. Basically, that means he was conquering everyone.
Yeah,
but eventually,
unifying Japan.
Yeah, he wasn't able to do that. But Ieyasu Tokugawa was like working with him, and he was able to accomplish that. And then eventually, the ninjas became basically like the black ops for the government, you know. And yeah, I don't know. It's cool. But one of the things I did want to talk about with Galford is that, like I said, he's kind of like the Ken equivalent in Samurai Shodown. But one of the things I think is really cool is another trope that you see about ninjas sometimes is that they have a dog companion. Yeah. And in Samurai Shodown,
like
Galford has,
right?
Yeah, like he has like a husky with him named Poppy, and she actually is like a projectile attack that he can use too, and she'll do like ninja stuff. She'll disappear and reappear, and she even like has that Izuna drop at one point where like spin you up in the air and drop you on your head, like
awesome.
kind of like Zangief.
Like bite you in the shoulder and get the grab hold.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, so that's really cool.
I love that idea. I have a little puppy at home named Cardamom, and I love the idea that like I could use her as like a projectile. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Cardi, attack!
Yeah.
All she wants
of
to do
like
is sleep, so
what's his name? Shadow in Final Fantasy VI.
Oh, Interceptor.
Shadow has Interceptor. Yeah, he's got that dog with him too.
Yeah, that is a
thing. And what was it, Final Fantasy VIII, where Renoa fires the dog like a cannon?
Right. Yeah.
That's like her
she
ultimate
fires the
attack.
dog like a cannon?
Like the dog actually latches onto her arm, as if she's like aiming a Buster arm or something, and she just launches the dog. And then the dog explodes and comes back to her. It's just this odd thing that someone was like, it'd be a great final attack for Renoa. She just shoots her dog like a cannon. This dog's some kind of supernatural being. We don't acknowledge it or talk about it, but you can see it. It's right there.
Well, my dog's name is Missile, but I've never thrown him, so...
Don't you do it!
I love seeing pictures of your dog online. That's one of my favorite
Oh,
things.
yeah, he's...
It's my Happy Gotcha Day.
Yeah, today is actually, yeah. I mean, not to get too personal, but I've had Missile for 10 years today, which is amazing.
Great. Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, he's awesome.
That's awesome.
Thanks,
Best
guys.
name origin ever, too.
Yeah. All right, I think we're back to me, right? Is that what's happening?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Unless you want to yield.
Do you yield, sir?
Wow, that's some pirate talk.
All right, now
Rob and pillage.
all right, we're going to stick with the fighting games because for pirates, you can look no further than Marvel vs. Capcom 2 with Ruby Heart. This
You got a
is
big heart for thievery.
We're going to listen to the track Ruby's Airship, composed by Tetsuya Shibata for Marvel vs. Capcom Part 2. All right, we're back, and you're listening to the theme of Ruby Heart, or Ruby Heart's Airship, from the game Marvel vs. Capcom 2, composed by Tetsuya Shibata. There are 2 composers credited on the soundtrack, but this specific track was Tetsuya Shibata. Man, I love the music to this game. When I first heard the music to Marvel Capcom 2, it didn't click because I was used to hearing more exciting music during like these like big fighting games, but it was over time that I really grew to appreciate like the jazzy nature of this game. And the bass licks in this song are really, really cool. And so Ruby Heart was a pirate, and she was after what was it, the Abyss or whatever secret super special item that gives you like everyone like grand powers in this game, right?
It's weird because there are no like dialogue cutscenes in Marvel vs. Capcom 2 because there was like literally like 65 characters. But if you beat the game, they show you just like images, and you can kind of infer that it was thanks to her that everything was happening or whatever. But yeah, who knows?
Up until now, I didn't even know there was anything linking the characters or anything. It was just like, here's a hodgepodge of people beating the snot out of each other.
Yeah.
Isn't that what you wanted?
Was it the Marvel? It wasn't until they tried to really, like Marvel Capcom 3, that they were really trying to make it feel like, oh, the characters ended up in the same universe somehow. How does that happen? But from what I've read in the
Phoenix Wright was
wiki,
in the middle of a deposition, and suddenly,
he shows up and he's got to fight Wesker. But no, I was reading through the wikis and I was like, oh my god. So I assumed that Ruby was a Marvel character because she just kind of looks like a Marvel character. She's like this tall, like she's got like the pirate hat on and the boots on, and she's got all these cool like moves like with like anchors and stuff. And I was like, she's really, really neat. But no, she's a Capcom character originally designed for the Vampire Savior series. And from what I've read is that she's the catalyst that kind of brings the characters from the 2 universes together in order to get the emerald or the power that, I guess the emerald's from the last game, but the power from the Abyss or whatever the last boss is. I don't know this game very well. I've only ever played people. I never played the computer that much.
I just like the music. You're gonna dry your eyes.
And then, but from what I've read, at the end of the game, she gets the power and it's cracked. Right? It's no good to her anymore, and she throws it back in the ocean. Like, she throws it away.
Like that comic with the guy reading the scroll. Like, yeah.
And she only makes one more appearance, and it's in Marvel Capcom 3 or Marvel Capcom Infinite. And it's like in like the dark world. It's like a dark future.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And there, in the background, there is a picture that says "Wanted, Dead or Alive," and it shows all of these characters from Marvel Capcom 2, and it says it says like caught or slain.
Oh,
right.
That's right. That's meant to be the reference for Days of Future Past,
exactly.
Right?
Yeah. So they're riffing on that iconic image from Days of Future Past X-Men comic. But they're using Marvel and Capcom.
Yeah, it shows like Iceman is like dead, Ryu is dead, and Ruby Heart's in there, and she's caught. She's captured or whatever. So I think that's kind of cool.
That's funny.
Yeah, but that's the only ever time you ever see her in this game, and you see her in that, and that's it. And
it is strange when
she's still quite the beast.
They put so much effort to make a cool looking character like that, and then it's kind of just. Oh, we'll never see him again.
Well, you said we got 65 characters in this game, and
yeah, it's something like that.
And the tier list is like you have like maybe 5 or 10 at the top. So no one's you don't get a lot of people playing these lower tier characters, and I believe Ruby is one of the lower tier characters. So.
That's why you just have tournaments that make you use bottom rung characters just to spice it up.
There are, and they're really fun to watch. Like watching college football or a college level sport. They're really fun to watch because it's just people are working with what they have rather than working at the elite level. And it's I find it a lot more interesting.
Are
it is cool
and
to
Tron
see.
Bond in the top tier?
No.
No.
Trombon's farther up. Soccer is like way low.
Tronbon has like a good assist, and I think she has like a pretty easy infinite. But she doesn't really crack that top. But I do really, like you said, Rob, I really enjoy seeing people take lower tier characters and executing at a high level. And I think the more popular Marvel 2 heads like Justin Wong and Yipes and stuff have kind of migrated over to doing like YouTube content, and a lot of that is doing these exact things that we're talking about. Like I know Justin Wong's sometimes he would do a stream where he would just take team requests and try to do 100% combos. And
that's awesome.
So it's like
it's with so many characters and so many moves in this game, like there's a lot of room for creativity, which is really, really cool. What I found was interesting, the more I got into watching like professional, or I guess the competition play of this game, was that even though there might be like the highest level, there's like 5 heavy hitters in this game, right? You got like Sentinel, and you've got Dr. Doom and Magneto. But what a lot of people would do is they'll take 2 heavy hitters and then one kind of mid-tier character, and that's their anchor. And they would play through the whole game as the mid-tier character and only use the other 2 as assists or as backup for like, you know, combos and stuff. And I always thought that was really interesting because I kind of played that way when I was playing this in the arcade, because I got really good with Rogue, but like not really good with anybody else. And I knew Rogue wasn't really high tier, but I could always kind of manage. If I kept her alive, I could kind of keep things going. And I was like, oh, nice. that's actually a real strategy people were doing. I didn't realize that.
I think my team was pretty much Tron Bond, Sakura, and Mega Man.
Yeah,
nice.
Mega Man was tough to play. He was always hard to play, I think.
He's just charging that Mega Buster the whole time.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Lunch was like freaking like Tornado Ho! Like, they gave him the most bizarre hodgepodge of weapons. Like,
he had like Mega Man 8 like move list. So he had like the soccer ball and tornado hold.
Was that Mega Man 8 or was that just Mega Man Soccer?
No, it was 8. It was 8. It was the oddest thing they just randomly say, here, now Mega Man gets a kickball. Have fun with this. It was like he gets the rock ball, tornado hold, the leaf shield for some reason.
Leaf shield, yeah.
And then like a couple rush transformations.
Yeah, Rush Drill, Beat. He had the Beat Jet. And then he turned into like Super Mazinger Z Mega Man.
That's right.
That was an awesome attack.
Roll does that too, right? Yeah, Roll turns into something like that. What's cool
She's like way at the bottom. She's like the worst character.
She's her own tier. I've read that she's a Roll tier.
Yep.
Like Surfbot's above Roll.
Darn. Maybe because the Surfbot's hitbox is lower.
I think what was exciting about having Mega Man in this game was that his Fierce Punch was just the Mega Buster. So having a 1-button projectile was a cool idea. But in practice, like the game is so frantic, it doesn't really make that
and
much
it didn't do much damage unless you charged it anyway. So it was just like,
yeah. It's like just like the Mega Buster, right? It's just a little. It shoots lemons. Otherwise,
it always made me mad too, because I always was Mega Man would have been perfect if you could just do something similar to how Rival Schools home release in the US did it, where you could you'd be able to unlock different versions of Mega Man with different move combinations, weapon sets. Yeah. The closest we came to that, I want to say, was like that one. It's like one of those like Samurai Showdown, some 4-player fighting game on it was the GameCube or PS2. And you could unlock Mega Man EXE in that.
Oh, that was that Onimusha. There's like an Onimusha versus game.
There it was, the Onimusha fighting game.
Wow, I don't remember what it was.
Wow. And you can unlock the Battle Network version of Mega Man in that game.
Yeah, we're talking about 4-player fighting games. My mind immediately went back to the Wu-Tang Clan game. And I'm like, okay.
You guys
Old
were
Dirty
talking about
versus
that.
RZA versus Rockman.exe.
Versus the Gimp.
Yeah, versus the Thrill Kill crew.
All right. Well, that's my pirate. Purnell, bring in the ninjas.
Let's see if I can bring if I have what it takes to take out Ruby Heart. Maybe I do. Maybe I don't. But it'd be nice if she at least enjoyed me for dinner or coffee, because she's awesome. Anyway, this track is from the game Naruto Clash of Ninja 2. This is the Schoolyard theme, composed by one or more of these people. Shinji Hosoe, Ayako Saso, Yosuke Yasui, and Masashi Yano.
Those are some heavy hitters right there.
Oh, yeah. I was surprised they did this game, to be perfectly honest with you.
Wow.
I didn't hear him go, whoa.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Schoolyard theme from Naruto Clash of Ninja 2 on the Nintendo GameCube, composed by Shinji Hosoe, Ayako Saso, Yosuke, Yasui, and possibly Masashi Yano. One or more of those people did this track. Now, it's interesting, like, I kind of gravitated towards this game when I had to choose ninjas specifically because this is probably the first and only GameCube import I ever purchased back in 2003. It was called Naruto Gakkyoku Ninja Taisen 2. It came out in 2003, and I bought it at Katsucon because I played it in the game room, thought it was an amazing fighting game, like a party fighting game, and I had to have it. It didn't come to the States for like another 4 years, believe it or not. Now,
Pernell, did you get the GameCube boot disc, the import boot disc? How did you play it imported?
That's what I did. I got the boot disc, that disc exchanger. I think it was, or something like
so I got that same cartridge. I got that same boot disc, man.
Oh, so but you have this game too?
Yeah,
my man.
Awesome.
So it's interesting, like people, like if you talk to people about Naruto now, there might be some harsh words they'll say about, it's just another, it wants to be Dragon Ball, or anything people like to say about it. But I feel like, despite the fact that I honestly enjoyed Naruto up to the end of the show, up to the end of Shippuden, for me, the best period in that franchise was the early years. Back when they were specifically focused on like ninja techniques and what the individual characters' families specialized in and how they used it in combat. Like, you had the Shadow Jutsu guy, you had the person who did mind control, the person who was good at cloning themselves, the one that used sand. Like, they had tons of different, attack variety types. And it kind of did a good job of like bringing the concept like ninja techniques and ninja combat to the forefront of this medium without it being particularly like bloody and violent. So I got a lot of enjoyment out of it. And it was cool when I got into the show and this was like, man, how's this guy going to fight against that guy when his specialty doesn't do well against that specialty? I liked seeing that. And then it became, hey, I've got this really cool bijou power. I'll just melt the screen or whatever. People's got supercharged and hyper powered. Throw a bunch of fireballs. There's a beeper.
Really good.
Sometimes.
I could talk about Naruto a little bit, and I feel like we're vibing in the same way. So I was really into Naruto when it came out, and Rock Lee was my dude, and Asian Kung Fu Generation was getting me hype, and this GameCube game came out, and I was like, oh, it's a Naruto fighting game, but I was like, fighting games on the GameCube, I don't know about that. But then when I played that game, I was like, whoa, this is a lot of fun, and actually it's developed by A-Ting, the people that did Bloody Roar, and actually they're the developer that would go on to do Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Oh. And so they put together a really nice 3D fighting game, and I think there was like 4 of those on the GameCube, and 2 was the one that that was like my first import game on the GameCube, and I really had a good time with that game.
And it's funny too, you mentioned Rock Lee, because whether people know it or not, Rock Lee inspired so many people in that era and beyond in regards to like working out at the gym and getting stronger because of his whole wearing the weights and then drops the weights. Like, people like to say Goku did it, but I stand, as much as iconic as Dragon Ball is in general, I feel like the whole weighted equipment thing was made iconic by Rock Lee, because that scene was just so... They made it so personal. Let me take these weights off. I was like, boom! It's like blew up the floor. And he starts like dashing around. But it was amazing. And I helped you. Honestly, this is me, nerd dorkifying myself a bit here. Rob might remember this. That was an era back when I actually did try to buy ankle weights to try to like increase my my mobility. Like, I actually bought like 2 pairs of like 10-pound ankle weights.
Why do you say like this is in the past? Like, I've seen you wear like arm weights.
No, now I wear the 40-pound vest, and it's for a different reason. That's purely for like weight resistance, to just get like tired and like just burn out on the street. But when I bought those ankle weights, it was specifically with that same mindset. Like, maybe if I get really good at running with ankle weights, maybe when I take them off, I'll just be able to be much faster because my body's used to it.
It's so bad for your joints.
I learned that very quickly. Did not do that.
So bad.
It was like use them for like weight exercises, but not for running.
No, the vest is good. The vest is good, and some people wear like a belt with like weights attached to it. Like on a chain, like when they're doing like pull-ups and stuff like that. I'm not that advanced.
And that's also like, I mean, in the 80s and 90s with ninja stuff, kids were grabbing ninja swords and throwing ninja stars. You see that stuff and you think it looks so cool. I want to do it.
Yeah, remember people used to make paper ninja stars in school.
Yep.
I think I could still make one. I feel like I got really good at it. I was really into like origami type stuff or paper craft.
That's awesome.
But I think.
All right. Well, it's time for me to make another decision, right? And this is a very tough one because I was vibing with Purnell, but we got Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and man, I love Marvel vs. Capcom 2, so I am gonna go with Pirates this round. Don't hold it against me.
I'm pointing at him.
So, my choice for Pirates is Snakey Shanty from Donkey Kong Land 2. We're not doing a Donkey Kong Country track, but it was originally composed by David Wise, but for the Game Boy, it was arranged by Grant Kirkhope. Oh. And I can talk about that when we get back.
Alright, we're back. You're listening to music from Donkey Kong Land 2 for the Game Boy. This is Snakey Shanty, composed by David Wise and arranged for the Game Boy by Grant Kirkhope. This comes from our guest, Carlos. So you said you have some information about the arrangement of this track?
Not really, but I do have a little bit of history with the track. So, you messaged me, and I mean, I'm not faulting you. It was kind of a short notice thing, so I was like, "Oh crap, I gotta pick some tracks."
Yeah,
right?
it was. Yeah.
And I was out walking my dog with my wife, and I was talking to her a little bit about this, and I was like, "Oh, I gotta pick like a pirate track," and she's like, "You gotta do this track," and I was like, "Wait, what?" She's like, "Yeah, like." So she owns the cart. I don't even have this game,
Oh, wow.
but I played it when I was a kid. But this is a Joanna pick actually. So shout outs to my wife.
Oh, awesome.
She saved my butt here. And but I had a couple of backups. Like, I actually was thinking about maybe picking a Cervantes track from Soul Calibur, because that dude's pretty badass. And to get more personal too, his last name is my last name, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, this Donkey Kong Land track, super fun. It kind of has like a Gangplank Galleon like riff at the beginning of it, but it kind of goes into this more cheery, happy thing. And I really like that you enjoyed the drum fill part right there.
Yeah, I was listening to it, and then you guys were talking, and then all of a sudden I'm like, was there like a little weird like Game Boy crunchy like drum break that to break into the next bit? And there was. I wonder, were there like intros to the stages? Like maybe this was like part of the intro to a stage, and then the guy kind of jumped in.
I remember you just jumped right into the level.
Yeah, you just getting in there. And it was funny too because, you know, the Donkey Kong Country games were like these CGI, like pre-rendered like models, and then translating that to the Game Boy really doesn't work that well. You got a lot of like scratchy pixel artwork going on, but
I always got a good chuckle out of the concept of Donkey Kong Country because, I mean, I'm saying this as a guy that loved playing Donkey Kong Country 1 and also the second game too. Didn't really bother with the third. But I remember when they came out with Donkey Kong Country, that was Nintendo saying, because, you know, the N64, they were having, like, development delays on that, so it was taking them longer than they intended to get it out. And the PlayStation and the Saturn were rolling along, taking some of their share base. And they were like, no, you don't need 32-bit graphics. The Super Nintendo can do all that. Look, here's a monkey. They give you Donkey Kong Country, and honestly, it really did look fantastic at the time.
Yeah.
It still actually does.
Yeah, I also remember, like, Killer Instinct in the arcade. That game came out, like, way before, like, the N64 came out. And if you go to the arcade, if you ever see a Killer Instinct arcade cabinet and just let the attract mode run, it gives you a preview for the Ultra 64. It's like coming next year, the Ultra 64.
Because they were intending to put it on there, and they eventually did, but it took a while to get there.
Yeah, it's like, so they ended up porting Killer Instinct to the Super Nintendo in a similar way to, like, Donkey Kong. Well, you know, and the way the graphics looked. But it wasn't until KI Gold, which is like a port of Killer Instinct 2, that it came to the N64.
Mm-hmm. I still remember those days because my friends were like rabid about Killer Instinct, but that was also back when I wasn't touching fighting games. So if I wanted to interact with my friends while they were hyped up on Killer Instinct, I had to just kind of suck it up and figure out how to enjoy myself. So I would just pick Black Orchid. Yes. Just like try to win, just to like, okay, I can fit in everybody. Black Orchid for the win. Oop, nice. I lost again.
Oh, wow. So
some Janet Jackson action.
Yes.
So the they showed some of the gameplay of Donkey Kong Country at the Consumer Electronics Show in 1994. In attendance, it says attendance took one look at it and assumed it was going to be on Nintendo's new hardware, the Ultra 64. But then when they heard it was going to be on the Super Nintendo, they were like, "Wait a minute, no way!"
Yeah, like they worked some magic on that because
it's really interesting.
It's like if there's one thing you can say about Nintendo during that era is their developers knew how to make their games look good when they had to like buy some time, quote unquote, because they really were pushing this as like you really don't need a 32-bit system where you can play Donkey Kong Country.
Yeah, they can just render all the sprites as if they were 3D images and just make it all look really, really clean. From what I've read somewhere, the characters had like additional frames of animation, like way more animation than any other platformer would normally have. And I'm trying to imagine how that would translate into a Game Boy game.
Yeah.
They probably cut back.
That's like I think of like Mortal Kombat on the Game Boy too, man. This is like one of the ugliest things you'll ever see on that green screen. It's rough.
They took a number of shortcuts though, and also by the time, well, maybe not by the time Donkey Kong Land 1 came up, but Donkey Kong Land 2, the Game Boy Color was already out. I'm almost positive.
Yeah, I think that there's like Game Boy Color compatibility in Donkey Kong Land 2.
All right, I'm watching some gameplay of this game. I had to. It's ooh. You know what though? Like the size is right, and it looks like Diddy Kong. It looks like Donkey Kong. Like they got it, but like they're still trying to do that that kind of rendered 3D look to the characters with just four shades of gray. It's not working out too great.
They're just jamming it in there.
Yeah, they were working at it though. Like, but I know that if it was on the Game Boy Color, like developed for the Game Boy Color, that system did have a little bit more power than the regular Game Boy did, so they could do a little bit more with that.
The animation still looks legit though. Like the animation still looks remarkably smooth. That's what I was imagining. Because I feel like if they were to cut back on the maybe the detail of the sprites and of the characters, then at least they would try to keep in the frames of animation, and it actually looks pretty decent. So
the amazing part about these games though is the fact that you have Donkey Kong Country, Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3, and then of course Donkey Kong Land, and then the most recent release is like Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze. Gameplay wise, they really haven't changed much at all from that entire window. But they're still fun games. Yeah.
And I mean, we were talking about the graphics, but what I do want to say is that translating the music to the Game Boy, I think, was a much more successful job. Because I think that And I listened to the Donkey Kong Country 2 version of this song too, and it's good. But I think that there's something really nice about the Game Boy sound set to this arrangement.
Yeah.
It works a lot better to me than the Super Nintendo version does.
Yeah,
I had a similar vibe, but I'm not a Super Nintendo game, of course, but Mega Man. So, of course, they had the Mega Man games on the Nintendo, and then they had Rockman World for the Game Boy games. And I didn't play Mega Man 5 on the NES until I was in my my mid to late 30s. But I played Rockman World 4 when I got that game in the States. And that was my first exposure to Mega Man 5 levels.
Oh.
So when I finally got to play the NES games, I'm like, I think I prefer the Napalm Man theme in the Game Boy game to the NES game.
Yeah, they're arranged just a
one
little
of
bit differently. The hardware on the Game Boy, the sound hardware on the Game Boy and the Nintendo are very similar, but they're different enough that when they were arranged for the Game Boy, they were just a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm going to have to look that up because Napalm Man's one of my favorite Robot Master themes.
Now, I only knew about the Donkey Kong Country tracks arranged for the Game Boy because our listener and our friend Michael Bridgewater submitted some of the Donkey Kong Country Game Boy tracks for our YouTube station. And when I heard them, I was just blown away, how different and how really cool they sound as chip tunes, but chip tunes of that era. All right, so moving on, we are done our original amazing tracks here. We are on to the bonus round.
Bonus round. Gonna shimmy timbers with my clown friend. Everybody, gonna make it a word. Let's go.
Was that saying oh, maybe the pirates are gonna beat the ninjas this time around because he did a little
No, they're
shanty
not.
for me? Oh, maybe you did.
I just like shanties, but no, pirates aren't touching ninjas. I'm on the pulse.
Yeah, I know you like to shanty it up. The bonus rounds. I'm sorry, shandy. A shandy, like a beer shandy.
Some shandy.
The bonus round is where we play covers and remixes and arrangements on our theme. My track. I forgot what I picked here. Let me look it up here. Oh, I got it here. We're going back to the SNK sound team. We're going to listen to Sympathy for the Wolves. This is
that track title is amazing.
Yeah. The King of Fighters 15. This is essentially an arranged version of the track Bad Girl for the character Bon Jeanette from Garou Mark of the Wolves.
What you going to do?
Who then made reappearances in, I think, 2 of the King of Fighters games. So this is it. Sympathy for the Wolves by the SNK Sound Team. Oh, yes. You're listening to the track Sympathy for the Wolves from the game King of Fighters, The King of Fighters 15 XV, ladies and gentlemen, composed by the SNK Sound Team. This is also an arrangement from the theme for Bon Jeanette from the game Garo, Mark of the Wolves, also composed by the SNK Sound Team. Her theme is called Bad Girl, and but yeah, this is a rockin' track. Like the original versions are really cool sounding, and even like there was a second version, I think, for one of the other earlier King of Fighters games. That sounds really good, but like for 15, like they went full Cowboy Bebop, and it's just amazing. I love it. So yeah, so this track is meant to represent the team of characters that represent the game Mark of the Wolves, or Garou Mark of the Wolves, and but to represent the team, they chose the theme song to Bon Jeanette, who has not really been in any other game in the series, and who's just, I felt like was a character created for Mark of the Wolves, and then nothing else.
Yeah, she's got like a pirate crew with her, like, and they'll show up in wind poses, and she's wearing like a kind of a dress, but she's a pirate character, and I think she's a really cool character. And actually, the whole team's pretty good. I think it's Gato, Bijane, and Rock. I think Rock Howard is the other character.
Rock was awesome in that.
Yeah, he's really good in any game that he's in usually. And I remember in Garo Mark of the Wolves, there's like it's basically the reverse of parries. It's called just defense. So instead of tapping forward, you're tapping back an impact, and it's like a parry attack. But she had, like, for me, one of the hardest inputs in the game, which is like she had a super that you have to input like 4-button combination at the moment of the just defend. So you have to hit back just in the right time, and in that window you have to hit like 4 inputs. And it was like kind of like a Raging Demon kind of style move, but I think maybe I did it once in training mode. To land that in a match, like, oh man, I'd have to really practice.
Yeah, I had this for the Dreamcast. I'd done a lot of training in this game just because it was a very technically difficult game to master. It's one of those games that has like a very small cast of characters, and like with a whole lot of depth to each of the characters. It was around the same time I was really, really into Third Strike, and so training myself to parry by pushing backwards instead of forwards was very, very hard to get my head around. But
yeah, it's kind of like the Third Strike equivalent for Fatal Fury, and like it's like that or Real Bout Fatal Fury 2. Like those are like the kind of two favorite, like, competitive wise Fatal Fury games that people play. I really like Real Bout 2. That's like my favorite, but Garo's cool too. And actually recently there's been, so they said that they were working on a sequel to Garo Mark of the Wolves, but they never actually completed it. But recently some images came out of unfinished characters with frames, actually. So people like on Twitter have been taking those frames and making the animations out of it.
That's awesome.
So you can see like how these characters would have looked. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, they have, like, you see like Terry, he has a couple new animations. And then there was a girl that was like kind of like a Joe Higashi, who was like the kickbox character in Fatal Fury games.
Yeah.
But she's like the Sakura equivalent to Joe Higashi. So she's like a young girl kickboxer, and you can see on Twitter some people made like animations based on the frames that they've seen.
Oh, that's
pretty cool.
Yeah, I remember when I first saw Garo Mark of the Wolves, it was a lot like Third Strike, where I thought, wow, all these games and all these series of games are moving towards 3D, but like SNK, like they decided to keep it like 2-dimensional, just really detailed, really colorful sprites. And there was something about the sprites in Mark of the Wolves that were just so unique. Like they were almost like the colors were saturated and almost a little limited, but the animation was so smooth for each one. So good.
And the backgrounds are really pretty.
Like
too.
If they were to make another one of these games, I don't care how good 3D is now. I hope they do sprites because they look amazing.
I feel that way too.
Yeah. All right, Pernell, we're back to the ninja territory here. This was Pirate World. What's happening over in Ninja Land?
I was actually, before changing to the track proper, I was going to say, as far as sprite work goes, I'm positive they've done better since then, but the game that I recall standing out in a more modern-ish fighting game that I've played that had good sprite work was the Rumblefish.
Oh, Pernell, I have information on the Rumblefish for you.
Oh,
I just saw, like, there's a Japanese company that's supposedly gonna be porting Rumblefish 1 and 2 to console. And
really?
Yeah, Rumblefish 2 never got an official console port. And I literally just saw that, like, yesterday morning, and I was like, no way.
Wow.
I just love that you mentioned the Rumblefish, because I like that game, too. I imported it. And it had, like, this interesting segmented animation to it.
Yeah, it was. I was gonna say it reminds me of like those old puppet things where like you can see the joints on them and they moved independently based on like how they wanted to animate them.
Yeah,
it
so
was...
like when it came to 2D sprites, these characters were animated in segments, so you can actually like damage the characters and their costume would change based on their damage, which is a really fun idea. It kind of looks like a, yeah, I guess, what would you say, Pernell, like a marionette kind of look to it, but it kind of had a cool, distinct style.
It's a great idea to like separate individual characters from being one individual sprite to being multiple sprites that they can move around.
And like
I looked up Rumblefish, and there's actually a movie from 1983 called Rumblefish.
Right. They're the Vanillaware games like Odin Sphere and Muramasa, those games are animated in that style too. And they're actually, we were talking about Natsume earlier, but Natsume developed a series of Gundam fighting games for like the PS1 called Gundam the Battle Master, and those games are animated in that style too, which works a lot better for a robot, you know, compared to a humanoid looking character. And I think that those games look really nice.
Yeah, I've seen the Gundam game before, because like the way the robots move more mechanically, like the idea of the sprites moving independently of each other looks a lot more natural. Well, not natural in meaning that it's unnatural. You know, it's a more mechanical moving.
Nice pull, Pernell, for the Rumblefish. Nice. I don't think that the Rumblefish has ever been mentioned on a video game music podcast.
That got me wondered. Someone
awesome.
has to have brought it up at least once.
There's some decent music in those games, actually. The characters look really cool, though.
But like, yeah, I get down with that sometimes. I get into some games. I just suck at all of them, but I get it in. I can get it in.
Nice.
But my last track is actually, I had to pull from a very specific game, because if I'm going to talk about ninjas, it has to be from the first ninja-based game that I remember playing. Maybe I haven't, but guess what? As far as I'm concerned, this is the first ninja game I've ever played. That is Ninja Gaiden, the first game, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And I came across an interesting cover from an old friend. I say friend, but I'm sure he's like, I never met that guy in my life. And I understand. He has never met me. But still, I want to call him friend. Anyway, this comes from a guy that goes by the name of Banjo Guy Ollie. I referenced him a few weeks ago in regards to Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. And apparently he did a really cool cover of the Masked Devil theme from that game. So we're going to listen to that right now, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Ninjas win.
You just listened to the Masked Devil cover theme from the game Ninja Gaiden, covered by Banjo Guy Ollie. I've mentioned in the past on the show that I'm a huge sucker for when remixers take or cover artists take a track that has an otherwise extremely short loop, and somehow turn it into like a good 3+ minutes or so of variations and shifts to just make it feel like it's progressing the entire time.
It's emotional. That was really amazing. Yeah.
Took us on a ride.
Yes. And coming from the fact that it's based off of Ninja Gaiden, which for those who may not know, Ninja Gaiden was, upon release, touted as being one of the first, if not the first, cinematic video games, in the sense that even though it was an action platformer, they intended to tell a story, like a cinematic-based like story. And as far as I'm concerned, I think they succeeded. I was really engrossed in the narrative in that game. Like, oh my god, he's got to run across, he's got to save Irene, he's going to run through this area. And they had the speed lines when he was running in the middle of the day to get across the valley.
Those cutscenes rule, man. That intro with his dad running in the field in the moonlight.
Oh, man.
Just capitalizes in that, like, slash. Oh,
I would watch that and rewatch that over and over again. It just felt like watching, like, a ninja or a samurai movie. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, that was total ninja cinema. Like, that was a trope back then.
The whole
ninjas fighting in the middle of the night under the moonlight cover. 2 people slash, but who made it out? Who survived? Who connected first? You know, it's fantastic. And the Masked Devil theme refers to, I always get the name wrong because it's not exactly Jackweo. It was the guy who was like Jackweo's main henchman. I guess he was the Masked Devil in that sense. But he had an actual name who's it just eludes me right now.
I don't remember that.
But he basically was like the guy you had to fight at the top of the ruins at the end of Act 5. And this was the theme that played during a number of his interactions with him. It was such a good track, though.
Yeah.
In the game and here. So
yeah, I love what he did. It sounded like an accordion or something that was doing those long sustained notes. Obviously, the banjo was doing the kind of those arpeggiations in the background, but wow, that was something else. Okay, Carlos, bring the heat. What you got? Well, close us out.
Ninjas win. All right, guys. So my bonus round track is a Whirlwind from Shinobi 3. And this is this is like a remix done by a group called Shred Nobi, who they've released a whole album of Shinobi 3 arrangements. They're like a metal band, and they're my homies, actually. I've been working with them on some stuff, but besides that, I think they're awesome. And this was originally composed by Morihiko Akiyama, Masayuki Nagao, and Hirofumi Murasaki. And like I said, this was originally from Shinobi 3, and the track is called Whirlwind. Okay, you're listening to Whirlwind, originally from Shinobi 3 by the band Shrednobi. Yeah, these dudes are pretty hardcore. I love them. And yeah, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to do some artwork for some stuff that hasn't come out yet, but I'm really excited for people to see it when it does.
That's
I
awesome.
did like a X-Men piece for them, which is like kind of like a young Carlos dream. Get to do some. I said I'm officially doing unofficial X-Men art. So I was really happy with that. But
the artwork for
are
this
cool.
track, or for this album that they did for the Shinobi music, is really cool looking.
It's so cool. And actually, yeah, that was one of the things where I knew they had this album out already and the artwork looks so cool. I'm like, I gotta bring my A game, man.
Yeah.
I gotta make it live up to this or surpass it. So hopefully when people see that, that's how they feel too.
All right. Well, for more information on the bonus round, you can go to rhythmandpixels.com. We'll have links to all of these artists' Bandcamps and SoundClouds, YouTubes, everywhere where you can go and buy the music and support these artists. Pernell's getting down over there.
Where's my grog?
All right, thank you for. There it is. Is that coffee? Or is that hop tea?
This is a hop tea.
Hop tea. Thank you for joining us on episode 33-6, Pirates versus Ninjas, with our good buddy Carlos. Carlos, thanks for coming on the show with us again.
Hey, always a pleasure, guys. I'm happy to talk some mess with you guys about any video games or movies or whatever.
Oh yeah, it's always a good time. One day we'll have to do like an actual like kung fu movies into games episode with you or something specifically tailored to like your style from your show.
Yeah, there's some Bruce Lee games, right, and some Jackie Chan games, and that's all I can think of, right?
Yeah. Actually, for Heroes 3, not to get into plugs just yet, but we are currently talking about Bruce Lee. And so we covered all his movies, but before we did that, I did an episode where we talked about Bruce Lee in video games. So I basically did a bunch of homework and went chronologically through games that either represented Bruce Lee in some way or actually starred Bruce Lee. So that was pretty fun.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. One of the Street Fighter tournaments that I went to ages ago, they had a side room with other fighting games, and one of them was a Jackie Chan game that was like on the PlayStation or something that I'd never seen before. It was like digitized Jackie Chan fighting game.
Yeah, so there's two. It's by Kaneko. It's a Japanese company, but they digitized Jackie and some of his stunt team and made a fighting game out of it. One's called Jackie Chan Fists of Fire, and one is called Jackie Chan Kung Fu Master. And actually, I mean, for poverty games, like kind of low tier games, it's pretty competitive. Some people really know that game.
I feel like that you can say that about a lot of stuff. Like, wow, there's a Sailor Moon game out there and it's broken. People get into it. People know that game, the Sailor Moon fighting game.
Yeah, I love that stuff, especially like weird, quirky. My friend has like a MAME cabinet, and we would just go through the list and find like the jankiest fighting games and try to really figure it out. It was a lot of fun.
There used to be a YouTube show that I really, really enjoyed. It was called... I can't remember anymore. That's horrible. But it was two guys that loved fighting games, two friends, and they would just pick they went through like every fighting game they could think of, and they would just Super Couch Fighter, and they would try to just figure it out. They would spend like the first 10 minutes just like messing around, and then all of a sudden one of them would go, "Are you ready? Can we do it? Can we do it?" And they would like start the game over, and they would like get really serious.
Like it'd be fun.
It was really fun. Like it was like hanging out with like two guys just playing games like that, and it felt real. It felt very, very real.
Nice.
So yeah, I'll have links to them on the show notes because I really appreciate them. But yeah, so I guess we're in agreement. The ninjas beat the pirates.
Yeah, ninjas have all these sneaky tricks. Pirates are cool, and I love the freedom of just doing whatever I want, but they're not very savvy when it comes to combat. You
Or
know, they're
music.
just blasting and yelling and ninjas will sneak right by you.
I would say I would take the freedom of being a pirate and just doing whatever you wanted, but like you're on the water, like you're not really going anywhere.
Yeah.
So I don't think.
Well,
there's a
you
lot
go
of
to
freedom.
islands, you go to land. Have you watched One Piece? That's fake pirate life.
Man, I'm thinking pirates are pretty smelly though, guys.
Probably.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
That is true. There's no way around that. I mean, on a boat, they stink. They land somewhere, they ain't got time to shower. Or else, they probably would look for like a bathhouse or someplace to just kind of clean up if they could.
Yeah, probably not. They're probably not cleaning up a whole lot. And they're not drinking water. They're just drinking straight rum all day long. So, they aren't smelling that great.
Yo ho ho, what's the Alki's life for me?
Oh my god. But yeah, also, I mean, I thought I represented the pirates pretty good as far as musically goes today. I think
you brought some jams. It does make me wonder now if we put Carlos on a bit of a homework assignment to go back to the last episode and do a measure there. I wonder what he would come back with.
I did go back and listen to it because I wanted to make sure I didn't repeat anything. And I remember I believe Pernell, you brought a Zack and Wiki track, which I was gonna think about bringing because I really liked Zack and Wiki, and I feel like more people need to know about that game.
Yeah, that game is a masterpiece that no one talked about.
Man, it's locked to the Wii. We'll never see that again.
Yeah, I was close to playing a Shanty Risky Boots type track,
sure.
but I thought, we've done that a bit in the past, but
Shanty.
But we did a lot of fighting game stuff today, and I think a lot of that has to do with having you on the show, Carlos.
I'm honored because that's my stuff. Yeah, I love it.
Well, for more information, not more information, but if you want to get in contact with us for more information about the show, or if you want to just say hello, or if you have a track suggestion, or even a topic suggestion, send us an email.
rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com.
And for a full track listing of this episode and all of our episodes and access to all of our episodes, go to the website.
rhythmandpixels.com.
We have a link to our Discord server at the top of the webpage. So if you want to go there, you can hang out and chat with us, chat with Carlos, and there's a whole bunch of people there within the podcast and the podcast community. We also have a YouTube station, youtube.com/rhythmandpixels. So it's a 24/7, 8-bit and 16-bit classics and deep cuts. It's just all day long. I finally got my bot working that crushes all of the spam bots. So no more nonsense happening in there. But I got a lot of cool stuff planned for the radio station. So definitely check that out. And what else we got here? If you want to
give me some suggestions for games to stream, or not stream, but at least to record myself playing and posting and stuff.
Yeah,
do that now.
Pernell's going to get into YouTube streaming something game, so let him know. Let him know on Discord. Pop in there and be like, "We want to see you play," and then he'll say what, and then you say something, and then he'll do it.
Yeah,
variety streamer is what we're going to call him. If you want to support the show, you can whatever platform you're on, hit subscribe or hit like or whatever it is. You can also go to Patreon, patreon.com/rhythmandpixels. As a member there, you get access to a monthly live streamed episode of us just recording the episode live. You also get cool stuff like there's old prequel episodes. There's all the past content. There's episode 0 if you want to hear where we started back in 2015, 2014. 15, way back when.
Ancient time.
You also get cool stuff like stickers and mugs and t-shirts and all sorts of neat stuff. And we like to thank all of our members at the highest levels of our Patreon tier at the end of every episode. So first, we want to thank Brooke and we want to thank Frankly Zappa. Both of you, thank you very much.
And double bonus thank you to Brooke. I was sick. She actually mailed me a get well package.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, Brooke, thank you very, very much. And thank you very, very much, Frankly Zappa, who pops in on my Twitch streams while I'm playing DDR, which is really cool. So thank you. Okay, we want to thank the number one. No word, no name, just one. Thank you,
he
Chris.
knows his rank.
He's number one on there. It keeps him on the top of the list, of the thank you list. Thank you, Kristen, GameFan44. Thank you, Mike Myers. Thank you, Turionator. Thank you, Ulf Person. Fashion 8060, Alex Messenger from AVGM Journey, Andreas Milberg, Brian Pitt, Cameron Werma, Carlos. Thank you, Carlos.
You're welcome.
You.
You're welcome.
viewers like you. Chris Steenerson, Chris Weisner, a.k.a. Musashi219.
The wise guy.
Christopher Senstrom, Chuck Kowalski, Davey Cakes, David Taylor, Enchilada Brigol, Harold Howard, Triple Jeff, the Tri-Jeff, Justin Schneider from XVGM Radio, Keith Shusterman, Martyrus from the VGM podcast, Michael Bridgewater, Dr. Michael Bridgewater, Rage Cage from the VG Emporium video game music podcast, Reinhardt Zilkova, Sleepy Smart, Steve Miller, Taco, Ed Wilson from the VG Embassy, and Zach Thornbach. Thank you all so much for your continued support of our show. Really, seeing your names every week gives us a lot of motivation to keep producing more content and doing better. All the money in the Patreon goes towards equipment, goes towards hosting, and it goes towards me and Pernell traveling to conventions and speaking in a very scholarly way. We're going to see, if you're available, we're going to see you guys at the end of August at Retro World in Connecticut, Retro World Expo.
Do I need to get one of those sweaters where you put the patches on the elbows?
I think we should
start smoking pipes?
If we could both dress up like that for Connecticut, I would love that. But we'll be up there hanging out with the Connecticut crew or the Connecticut area crew with XVGM Radio and Ed and the VG Embassy.
They apparently have a New Haven pizza. I still like joking about that.
We're gonna have I don't think I've had it yet, so we're gonna have New Haven style pizza. Doesn't sound like a thing to me. I see it's New York pizza, maybe Philly pizza, Chicago pizza, but New Haven.
What is Philly pizza? Wait, what is Philly pizza?
I don't know. It's a cheesesteak.
It's a
cheesesteak
pizza
on a pretzel.
That just sounds like an abomination.
Because when I'm in Philly, all I want to eat is pretzels. All right. Well, yeah. Anyway, thank you all so much, and many more in our Patreon for supporting our show every month. So it's a big deal to us. Next week we may have another special guest. We may not, but I'm hoping we have another special guest, and Pernell will be well enough to be here in person with our guest.
If I'm not well enough next week, I have bigger concerns. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, pray for Pernell. Thank you all so much for listening to the show. It might be another Sonic episode, actually. And I should probably announce now our Patreon episode, if you listen to this far. Our Patreon special episode is going to be our Masters of VGM for listeners. So if any listener, if you want to submit a track with who you think is your number one master of video game music, please submit it to us, rhythmandpixels@hotmail.com, and we'll have that episode then. But until then, I want to say thank you very much, Carlos. Is there anything else you want to plug or talk about before we head on out?
Well, yeah, I co-host Heroes 3, which is like an Asian cinema podcast. I have a lot of fun doing that with my co-host Matthew and Marty. And yeah, we've been talking about Bruce Lee. We covered all of the, we covered like the 4 films that Bruce Lee starred in, and we're gonna deviate into like Bruce Lee's like legacy. So that's gonna be kind of weird and fun because there's like a whole set of, they call them Bruceploitation films, which is like Bruce Lee was so famous and so influential, but then he died before he experienced that kind of worldwide glory, and there's a vacuum that was filled with all of these fakers, and I'm gonna have fun talking about that with
Bruce
Matthew
G.
and Marty. Yeah, there's like all the variations you can think of. But yeah, so if it's something that you might be interested in, check it out.
Oh, that sounds really
And
cool.
I also just think it's kind of hilarious that we both potentially got our cases of COVID from the exact same place, despite living in completely different areas of the country.
How wild is that? And
I think it's very well. We have this weird synergy that goes there. It's like the first GameCube import.
First GameCube import, La Mulana, and getting COVID.
Yeah, it's a party.
It brings
But
us
we're
all
doing
together.
all right.
Yeah, everyone's doing all right. Everyone sounds okay, which is important. So
Yeah.
it's good to see you up and about, Pernell. Last week you were a little further in the dark.
I sounded like this. Also, I looked like this.
And you were also more isolated, and so you were like, "Oh my god."
Yeah, I was much weirder then.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you everybody for listening to the show. We will see you next week. My name is Rob Nichols.
And I'm Pernell.
Have a good time. week. I forgot what I said.
And remember, ninjas and pirates, for better or worse, they are both ultimately known for acts of great violence, regardless of whatever the reasons may be. I still think they're awesome. You all think they're still awesome. But maybe the violence part, not so much. I mean, it's good to have knowledge. It's good to learn and educate yourself. But kind of parroting off of that one, like, hilarious Nickelodeon Pirates quip, it's not about being mean. It's about using your abilities for good, doing nice things for people, you know, applying knowledge in ways that can assist yourself or help better lives of others. Maybe steal hearts, not steal possessions. Stealthily get into class on time if you're the type who still runs late for school or work. Fun things like that. But not about the violence, none of that stuff. It's about being good in a world that could sorely use more of it, especially nowadays.
Well put. We did it, guys.